Time is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
The Democrats have a new strategy, but is it a winning one? We're going to talk about that today. Also, shakeups because Trump is retreating, but is it enough? We'll talk about that. Alrighty, it is the Karel Show. I am Karel. So very glad you are joining me on this Wednesday, January 28th. January, just 3 days away from being done. The Grammys are the February 1st, this Sunday. So yeah, the year is flying by. So glad you are joining me either in the chat room at youtube.com/reallykarel, on Patreon at patreon.com/reallykarel, my website, reallykarel.com, or on all streaming services. And if you are a patron, there's a special place in heaven for you. So glad and grateful you are here. All right, so there was a meeting in California of the gubernatorial candidates, which really, to me, shows how they're going to do the midterms and then the general. And look, I need to be clear about something before we begin, because I don't want to hear about it. I am going to vote Democratic because there is no credible third-party choice, and because Republicans are Nazis, basically. They even use their phrases and their symbols. So they have decided to become the Nazi Party of America, and therefore I can't vote for them. I can vote for the Democrats, but a lot of times I don't want to. And this is shaping up to be one of those election cycles, both midterm and general, where I'm not going to be thrilled to vote for the Democrats. And let me tell you why. Because I think it's important that we police our own party. I think it's important that we point out that neither party are perfect, and that basically nowadays all we really have a choice of is bad or worse, and it shouldn't be that way. Now, I'm not saying Kamala Harris was bad. I'm not. But here's what I am saying. For instance, with what's going on in Minneapolis, for the last year, for a year, Donald Trump has been going after people of color and minorities. Gays, bis, trans is what he started with, and then moved right into Hispanics, Mexicans, anyone brown, anyone not white, basically. And he used ICE as his paramilitary force to go and terrorize communities in Los Angeles, in Portland, Minneapolis, in cities that he didn't like because of the way their states voted. And what did the Democrats do? I'm being serious. What did they do? They bitched, they moaned, they posted on social media. But what did they actually do? When they had a chance to do something back in December when the government was shut down, they didn't. They caved. So what did they do for a year? While families were being broken up, while children were being dragged away from parents, while places like Home Depot and other places of work were being invaded, what did Democrats really do? Nothing. Nothing that amounts to anything. But then two white people get shot. Renee Good and Alex Preddy get shot. White people who were at a protest, or one was just in her car. And suddenly it's either you fire Kristi Noem or we impeach her. Suddenly it's Bovino being sent back to the border and a new border czar being brought in to oversee things. Suddenly it's Trump saying, oh, I'm going to de-escalate things a little bit. Suddenly it's Fox News and everybody condemning because a gun-toting white guy got killed. So suddenly that's a line too far. Renee Good, a line too far. But when brown people were being terrorized, When brown people were being dragged through the street, were they threatening to impeach Kristi Noem? No. When brown people were, just being terrorized everywhere they went, did they threaten to withhold the funding from the Department of Homeland Security in the last budget? Nope. When did all this happen? When 2 white people got shot. Now, you cannot like that, and you can disagree with me, and you can say, Karel, it's bad for you to bring that up or whatever. But I'm just telling you as it is. Nobody gave a fuck about what ICE was doing of any real import. No one that could do something cared until white people got shot. And now suddenly there needs to be investigations, and there needs to be this, and there needs to...
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
So here we are. 2 white people have now been killed, and therefore we must care. Prior to that, it was just libtards and blah, blah, blah that cared about ICE and what they were doing. Now, though, the whole nation is up in arms because white people got hurt. That's sad. It's tragic. And it's sad and tragic that it took the death of Renee Good and Alex Preddy to actually make people realize that ICE is an illegal paramilitary organization being used at the behest of Donald Trump. And Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller aren't the only problem. Donald Trump is. So Democrats are screaming, fire Kristi Noem or we'll impeach her. So you got the votes to impeach her, but you don't have the votes to impeach the guy that started it? Does that make any kind of sense? Doesn't make any kind of sense to me. I mean, if they've got the votes to impeach Kristi Noem, why don't they have the votes to impeach the guy that actually sent the troops in? Why does he get to walk away? And that's what's happening. Once again, he is skating and skirting responsibility for what he did. He ordered those troops in. He set the tone. In a criminal conspiracy, he's as guilty as Kristi Noem or Stephen Miller. And that's what this is. They are covering up murder. These were not accidental shootings. This was murder, cold-blooded murder. Last night in Minneapolis, ICE agents at a hotel were partying in a window. And one of them pulled down his pants and mooned the protesters and then flipped them off. They had just killed somebody. This is murder by murderous thugs. And now that they've murdered 2 white people, suddenly people care. Will Kristi Noem be the sacrificial lamb taking the guillotine for Donald Trump? Probably. Will anything happen to Stephen Miller? Probably not. Although, if you look at him, you could contend that nature has done enough to him. But will anything, happen to him? And so, here we are on January 28th of 2026, and we still have a criminal president in office doing criminal acts. Americans are now dying in the streets, and it took white people being shot for anybody to care. And so that is my first bone of contention with these people, these Democrats. And I'm sorry if you don't want me to criticize the Democrats, but that's my first bone of contention, that they basically didn't do anything until white people got... Look, Ilhan, what is her name? I never get her name right. Ilhan Oman. I don't want to be disrespectful and get her name wrong. Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar was attacked. She was attacked. They threw liquid on her. Had it been an acid, she could have been in the hospital or dead. Now, she picked up and kept doing her speech. But that kind of behavior comes directly from the mood set by Donald Trump. This is what MAGA is. This is who the Republicans are. Take out your enemy. Now, that attack in and of itself is appalling. That guy should go to jail for a very long time. Will he? Probably not. In California, the gubernatorial candidates, Katie Porter and others, Eric Swalwell did not go, but most everyone else did. And they had a Democratic roundtable for the people running for governor. And the Democrats made it very clear yesterday that all they want to talk about is affordability. That's their new catchphrase, affordability. All the LGBTQ press reported that not one LGBTQ issue was brought up at this California, home to San Francisco and West Hollywood, and this California governor's roundtable candidates from the Democrats. And it was all about affordability. Nowhere did they talk about repealing the rights that have been taken away for trans people. Nowhere did they talk about protecting communities of color. Nowhere did they talk about LGBTQ equality, DEI, reinstating DEI, nothing. It was all affordability. Because the Democrats in this next election cycle are going to run from social issues. And that's all they fucking have. Okay? Democrats are the party of social issues. They should own it. But instead, they now want to be the party of affordability. Because they're afraid that social issues will alienate some voters. So they are willing to alienate gay people, trans people. They are willing to alienate black people, brown people. You know, they want to lose. Democrats do not want to win elections because no one tells them how to do it. Not only should they not run from social issues, they should double down on social issues. You know, Hispanics fled the Democratic Party in the last election. Fled. And do you think talks of affordability are going to get those Hispanics back? Blacks fled the Democratic Party in the last election. Do you think talk of affordability is going to bring people of color back to your party? Gays and lesbians either sat home or voted for Trump. Do you think not addressing what has happened to their community under Donald Trump is going to get you votes from them? Do you think that as gays or as people of color or as Hispanics or blacks that we're just going to vote for the Democrats because you're the only party in town? That's what you fucking relied on for decades. You relied on LGBTQ support. You relied on Hispanic and black support because you figured, where else are they going to go? The Republicans? Well, I guess they taught you a big lesson. That's exactly what they did. In enough numbers to put Donald Trump in office. And that's your fault, Democrats. Donald Trump is the sole responsibility of Democrats. And I want to hear a Democrat fess up to it. I want to hear a Democrat own it. That Joe Biden was weak and was a weak president because he did not go after Trump with everything that he had. Instead, I'm going to leave it to the courts. I'm going to leave it to I'm going to blah, blah, blah. And nothing fucking got done. That man should have been in jail in year one of Joe Biden's presidency. Year one. Democrats, you've had the House and Senate many times. Have you codified Roe v. Wade? Nope. You've had the House and Senate many times. Did you pass gay marriage into law? Nope. You've had the House and Senate in my lifetime many times. Did you get good gun control? Universal health care? Nope. Nope. So what have you fucking done? Just not been a Republican? The Democrats' whole stock in trade for decades has been, well, yeah, but at least we're not them. And now that doesn't work. It doesn't work with young voters. It doesn't work with middle-aged voters. Well, at least we're not them. Well, that's not setting a very high bar, is it? Vote for us because we're not Nazis. That's what they're planning in this next election. They're planning on running on the fact that they're simply not Republicans. Oh, and affordability. Affordability. Government cannot control grocery prices, okay? They can't. Now, they can call the leaders of the big companies in to ask them, what the fuck? Why are you charging so much money? But they can't tell companies what to price their goods at. They cannot control grocery prices. They can control tariffs and things like that have effects on pricing, yes. But in terms of actually lowering the price at the grocery store, they can't do that. They can't dictate the price of gasoline to the oil providers. Yes, they can make it so oil is cheaper. They can lower taxes, tariffs, things like that. But they can't tell BP or Exxon or Chevron how to price their products. There's nothing that's been passed. The Voting Rights Act hasn't been passed. And now Republicans are gutting voters' rights. And they're able to do this because when the Democrats are in control, they don't get it done. They always blame that we don't have the majority. We don't have the votes. We don't have the majority. We don't have the votes. And yet Republicans seem to get a whole lot of shit done. Republicans seem to get the votes and have the votes. How is that possible? How is it possible that in my entire lifetime, Democrats have just never had the votes to do anything, but Republicans have? How does that even work? This notion that the Democrats are the best party out there. There needs to be a credible third party that is not Democratic and not Republican, because both of those parties are corrupt. I just have to lay it out as I see it now. Nancy Pelosi should have retired 30 years before she did. Chuck Schumer is sitting in Washington, D.C., being the most ineffective person I've ever seen in my life. The only Democrat of any substance or worth is Gavin Newsom. And he's not in Congress or the Senate. He is the only one. None are fighting. None are using Trump's tactics. None are calling it. It was Gavin Newsom at Davos telling world leaders not to take a knee to Donald Trump. It was Gavin Newsom at Davos saying he should bring knee pads for the corporate leaders that are all bowing down below Donald Trump. It wasn't a senator from the Democratic Party. It was Gavin Newsom. It wasn't any other Democratic governor. The two most popular Democrats right now are Gavin Newsom and Mayor Mondami. Those are the two most, and they're the two that are not welcomed by the party. Democrats don't overly love Gavin Newsom, and they certainly aren't fond of Mondami, and yet those are the two biggest Democrats around right now. Why? Because Mondami won't back down. Because he says what he feels, and he pushes for things that are right. And he doesn't care that he's called a socialist, he embraces it. And because Gavin won't censor his tongue and sent his social media people on the attack. Can you name any other Democrats that have that kind of approval right now? Gavin Newsom and Mondami? Any other? Because I certainly can't. And yes, we need to get the money out of politics. And yes, we need to get corporations out of politics. And Democrats had a chance to do that. Democrats have controlled the House and the Senate. And did they pass legislation to get them out? No. When Joe Biden was president, did he make it a point to get the money out of politics? No. They bitched about the Electoral College as long as I am old. have they ever gotten rid of the Electoral College and going to the popular vote? Because if we did have the popular vote, both times Donald Trump lost. We would not be in this mess if the Democrats, when they were in power, did what Hillary Clinton said to do, which was get rid of the Electoral College. Donald Trump lost the popular vote twice. I'm sure it kills him. Twice. But the Electoral College gave him the presidency. So, you know, and the Democrats gobble up that corporate money like anybody else. They don't take the high ground. They say, look, we'd like to not take corporate money, but if we don't, we can't compete with our competitors. Oh, so you'd like to not be corrupt, but since the other side is corrupt, if you're not corrupt, you won't get elected? Is that your philosophy? That's what you're thinking? The problem in America isn't the Republicans. The problem is America that both parties are woefully broken. And no one will talk about it. And no one wants Democratic Party reform. David Miles Hogg does.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
Look, I know it's unpopular. I do. I know, you know, when Democrats are our only salvation, and they are, that's the sad part. We are drowning in political corruption. We are a country that is being taken over by authoritarian rule. Other countries are now telling their people to not come here. We are failing. Our democracy is almost gone. And the only party we have to save us are the Democrats. That's it. That's who we get. It's kind of pathetic. And they're going to lose. They're going to lose because they're going to alienate voters like me. They're going to ignore trans rights. They're going to ignore gay rights. They're going to ignore Roe v. Wade. They're going to ignore African Americans, that more of them are in jail than in college. They're going to ignore an immigration and reform immigration, and they're going to ignore the problems of the people of color, and they're going to use platitudes that talk about affordability. They're fucking millionaires. Every Democrat running for governor in California is basically a millionaire. What the fuck does a millionaire know about affordability? When's the last time they ever had to count change for gas, or count change, or decide whether they're going to pay their light bill this week or buy food? When's the last time they ever had to actually worry about medical health care? Every time I go to the doctor, I worry about the copays. I just told my neurologist that we can't do a neck scan, a shoulder scan, and a low back scan because they won't combine that as one scan. They say it's 3 separate scans. And my copay has now gone from $150 for an MRI to $250 for an MRI, and 3 would be $750. And I don't have $750 to pay for a non-emergent scan to simply check the status of my neck and my back, which we know are fucked. And my shoulder got an X-ray instead of an MRI because I simply do not have $750. Oh, I could charge it, pay it off in a couple months, but I'm not giving you United Healthcare. That's the other issue we got to talk about. Healthcare companies are failing. Their stocks are plummeting because Trump isn't changing the rates for them in 2026, and because they spend too much money on their executives. You and I, even if we're insured, we're going to get a lot less care in 2026 and pay a lot more for it. No one's talking about that. Oh, well, we'll talk about your premiums, affordability of your premium. Fuck the affordability of the premium. What does it get me? What about copays? Every one of my copays this year has doubled. My specialist visit has gone from $25 to $45. My regular office visit has gone from $15 to $30. Everything has doubled. MRIs have gone from $150 to $250. Copay on an X-ray has gone from $5 to $10. Everything has doubled on United Healthcare. Everything. If you're on a Medicare Advantage plan through United Healthcare, you know what I'm talking about. Everything is doubled. Why? Because they refuse to make less profit. It's not because healthcare costs are soaring. You always hear that. Healthcare costs are soaring. Why? Why only in America are healthcare costs soaring? Because health insurance companies, which, by the way, we do not need. Here's the big secret. We don't need United Healthcare. We don't need Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Aetna. We don't need any of those because we own a medical insurance company called Medicare. If we simply did Medicare for all and got rid of all the corporations involved in our health care, it would be much more efficient and much more affordable. But we won't. We won't. We own a health insurance company, which, did you hear? By 2033, if Congress doesn't act now, the reserve fund for Social Security is going to run dry and all benefits will be cut 20%. So if you get $2,000 a month now, you'll only get $1,600. And that's just in, 6 years? 7 years? In 2033, payroll taxes will no longer be able to fill the Social Security fund. Therefore, they will cut benefits mandatorily by 20% across the board. That news story broke yesterday. Who reported that? Nobody. I'm reporting it here for you. Yes, I am on Medicare Advantage through United Healthcare. That's what I'm on. I have United Healthcare through Medicare Advantage. That is my plan. I'm 63 years old, on disability. I can't buy any other plan. I went to the exchange to buy my own health care. I can't because I'm on Medicare. They won't even let me buy a plan to augment Medicare. I can't get a secondary plan to pay for what Medicare won't. I am not allowed. People that are on disability, not regular Medicare, once I turn 67, that'll change. In 3 years, that'll change. But for the next 3 years, I cannot do anything except be on Medicare or a Medicare Advantage plan. Period. There's rules. If you're on disability, you can't buy a secondary insurance plan. I don't know why, but I can't. And all of those costs are skyrocketing. Democrats want to talk about affordability? Bring down my copays. But do you think United Healthcare is going to decrease cost when they're screaming their profits are going out the window and their stocks are plummeting? You know? And as we get rid of more of the workforce with AI and robots, who's going to pay the taxes? The robots? I'm serious. We keep talking about the advent of AI and how, it's going to be able to do so much for us. Well, then who's going to pay taxes? How is the government going to function without revenue coming in when the billionaires won't pay? I mean, the obvious choice is to go where the money is. We could fund Medicare right now if we just tax the billionaires what they should be taxed. We could fill that reserve fund right back up. Maybe Tim Cook wouldn't be able to afford to go to the White House so much. I'm so mad at him. I'm going to talk about this when I come back. I talked a little about it yesterday, but I am so mad at Tim Cook, I don't even know.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy.
Now it's your time.
I was reading in the chat room just now at youtube.com/ReallyKarel some of the comments. I wish I could figure out how to get them up here on my screen. Maybe one day. Let's see. It ain't expensive considering the quality of service. What quality of service? I don't know what medical facilities you're going to. You act like America has the best quality of medical service. You ever been to the hospital in Japan? I'm serious. I watch NHK World every day. In Osaka, Japan, there is a medical center that I'd like to live at. First of all, if you need an MRI, you just stand up or sit down. You don't go into a tube. The little round tube goes around you. They have such high-tech stuff at hospitals in Japan, stuff that we don't even have access to, stuff that I didn't even know exist. I'm not going to go down the list. Watch NHK World and you will see. In hospitals all over Japan, they have incredible technology. Stuff that leaves our shit in the dust. And they're not as sick as we are. They value exercise. They value diet. You know, God. I know I have to vote for the Democrats. I do. I can't vote for a Republican, and I'm not going to stay home and let the Republicans win because we stay home. But for so long, we have been on the wrong track in this country. For so long, my entire lifetime, we have been on the wrong track. I am 63 years old. In November, I'll be 64. I've heard about universal health care since I was born, and I've experienced it in other countries. Ireland, London, France, where they go to the hospital, and Canada, and they don't get a bill. I have to tell you, true story. The lady downstairs abuses the medical system. She does. She calls 911 3, 4, 5 times a week. She's a drug seeker. She goes to the hospital. She gets seen. She gets drugged. She comes back. It's a vicious cycle. And the last time she went, she gave my unit number instead of her unit number. And so I've been getting all of her medical bills. In the last month, just the last month, she has gotten 100. I counted. I have a stack. And I had to print out 3 sheets of not at this address, which is 30, 60, 90. 90 tags that say not at this address. And I used them all. 90 bills for one hospital stay. One hospital stay. 90 bills. She gets the bills from the hospital. She gets the bills from the doctor. She gets the bills from the anesthesiologist. She gets the bills from like 5 different places are sending her, the ambulance service. 5 different places are sending her bills for one hospital trip. And they've sent her over 100. That's ridiculous. They certainly have the money to do that. They certainly have the money to employ people to collect money. This country has been off track since I was born into it, both in terms of civil rights. The last lynching occurred in 1966, legal lynching, when I was 4 years old at a church. 1966. That's the relative past. People have been filing bankruptcy for medical. I filed bankruptcy in 2015. And one of the reasons, medical bills. Because for decades before radio, before 1993 or 4, when we finally got into radio and made money at it, if I needed health care, I went to the emergency room. I did not have a primary care doctor. In my 20s, I had no primary care doctor. My mother's. He would see me when my mom went and not charge me. Dental. I do a lot of dental work now. I've told you all that. Why?
If you're not visiting reallykarel.com daily, you're missing out. Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes, at reallykarel.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Karel is the one that you need to know.
By the way, I look fabulous in a blue turtleneck. Can I just say that? Don't I look good? I look good. I can't believe I'm single. Can you believe I'm 63, gay, and single, and I look this good? I find that hard to believe. Why hasn't some 40-year-old fallen in love with me? You know? A lot of you say, Karel, you go to the dentist a lot. I do. Every 3 months I get a cleaning because I have 2 dental insurances, Delta Dental and the one through United Healthcare. So each one pays for 2 dental cleanings a year. So I get 4 dental cleanings a year. Now you may wonder why. That's because up until radio, up until 1995, the dentist was unaffordable for me. I couldn't pay hundreds and hundreds and hundreds for crowns and things. So I always got the minimal done. I have so many teeth missing because I couldn't afford. I got 1, 2, 3 bridges. So that's 3 teeth that are missing because I couldn't afford dental work. I will never forget, I was doing a gig at the Raz Room and I had a poster out for it and I was laughing. And some hater on KGO called in and said, "Why don't you fix your gum disease riddled mouth?" They said that to me on air. Well, I thought, how did they even, they must have seen that picture. So I brought the picture to my doctor and I said, "Do I have gum disease?" And my doctor looked at it and said, "Oh, your blood pressure medication. What are you on?" And I told him. And he said, "That's causing your gums to do that. You need to go to the dentist and have this done. And also you need to switch your blood pressure pill." Well, I did both those things and my gums receded back to normal. But had that hater not said that, I wouldn't have even questioned it. I thought, I used to brush my teeth in my 20s and every day my gums would bleed. I remember one time in my late 20s, I had to have a procedure where they literally put antibiotic packets in your gums after a scaling. I used to have scalings every couple years because, dental hygiene was just not, I had no money for dentist. I didn't go twice a year to have my teeth cleaned. I didn't, there was just no money to do it. And in America, our insurance feels the need to not cover dental work. Even great insurance feels the need to not cover all of your dental work. If a procedure that I need is $2,500, I have to pay $12 of it. And then if I exhaust those benefits, which are very low, I have to pay it all. My implant cost me $3,500, my share. That's unaffordable. I don't hear the Democrats talking about the affordability of dental work. They're talking about, the grocery store. Well, parents have to bring their kids to the dentist. So we're on the wrong track. Thank you for the compliments on my glasses. Thank you. I bought these when I sold my house. Okay, these are Gucci. I believe Gucci, yes. Yes, these are Gucci. And I bought them when I sold my house. These frames were $1,100. In my lifetime, I have never, ever, ever had frames that cost that much. But these frames were $1,100. They're Gucci. It says Gucci right on the side. And they were $1,100. I have a pair of Ray-Ban frames that I love that were $350 and some Tom Fords that I have that were $400. And now I just swap out those lenses. My Ray-Bans. Oh, I went to the optometrist 4 weeks ago. They said my new lenses would be in 3 weeks. My new glasses. Well, my Ray-Ban frames that I bought. And see, each year when I get a new prescription, I just put new lenses in my frames. And the storm in the Midwest, they're running late. Are we in the fucking dark ages where a snowstorm can just halt all shipping in this country? See what I mean by we haven't made any progress? A fucking snowstorm can kill us all and gridlock the country. When we know that climate change is going to make it worse. We have known for decades that climate change is going to make it worse. So have we built infrastructure to withstand the fucking weather? Nope. Our freeways shut down, our airports shut down, our trains shut down, our highways closed over the weather. The fucking weather. We think we're such a great species. We're going to go build things on Mars. We can't build things on planet Earth that can survive the weather. Houses still get destroyed by hurricanes. And yet my entire life, there's been hurricanes destroying houses. You would think we would have built houses by now that can withstand hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes. Nope. What is wrong with us? Colonel Angus says the VA doesn't pay any dental unless you're 100%. Yeah, my dad was only 60%. They have like percentages of disabled at the VA. I just love that. You're only 60% disabled. Disabled is disabled. But the VA, if you're a veteran and you served, and this includes you, Colonel Angus, if you're a veteran and you served and you were honorably discharged, every bit of your medical, your dental, your chiropractic, your acupuncture, your surgeries, your office visits, everything that you need from that point on should be covered. Period. End of story. In the best facilities money can buy. Period. Why? Because you volunteered to defend our country. Doesn't make you a hero, but it does make us indebted to you. You served your time to protect our country. You should be treated for the rest of your life medically with anything that you need. My father went to the VA in Long Beach. It was such a disgrace. It's a better hospital now than it was, but back in the day, it was a fucking pit with the worst doctors. And why doesn't every medical company have to give the greatest stuff they make to the VA? Give it, not sell it. Give it. Their very freedoms that they enjoy doing business, making millions, are protected by the military. So why shouldn't every medical company, Siemens and all of them, Sony, Philips, all of these, imaging machines and everything, why doesn't the VA have the absolute fucking best for free? These billion-dollar companies, it wouldn't even bottom their bottom line if they did that. Did I say bottom their bottom line? I meant to say bother their bottom line. Maybe I have bottoms on my mind. Boy, could we use a mood change. I've been on a tirade here, haven't I? We need a mood change. We need something comedic. Something. Is there anything in the news that's funny? Anything at all? I'm glad the Portland VA treats you well, Colonel. I'm glad. I really am. Because I've heard so many horror stories from the VA. Just so many. I just feel so badly for them. But is there anything fun in the news? Anything funny in the news? Anything interesting? Anything going on social media of any kind of, the man that's been arrested after the Ilhan Omar attack? I hope he's put in jail for a long time. It is interesting here in Vegas. There's a big headline about this hotel that's not going to happen now. They were going to make an Atari hotel, like the games, Atari. And the hotel was going to look like something out of an Atari game. But it was just on the drawing board. They didn't, there was no funding yet, and it wasn't. Well, now it's not going to happen. And that's making headlines. And I love this headline. Atari Hotel that was never going to happen makes headlines for not happening. It's like, yep. Yep. Possible government shutdown raises concerns for Las Vegas economy. Yeah. Yep. Gamblers lost $15.8 billion in Vegas last year. Lost. $15.8 billion. That's more money than your brain can comprehend. It really is. I have scientific proof of that. $15.8 billion was lost in Las Vegas. And these are the same people that don't want to pay taxes. These are the same people that if you said, we need $20 from every American and we can build high-speed trains that will withstand the weather throughout the country, they wouldn't give it. But they lost $15.8 billion. Yep. Fox News made Trump realize he had problems in Minneapolis. That's a shame. Amazon cut 16,000 more jobs. Yeah, they cut 14,000 last month, 16,000 this month. That's 30,000 jobs lost. Why aren't we talking about that? Meanwhile, Jeff Bezos and the CEO of Amazon's wealth has increased tenfold, but they've cut 30,000 jobs. Yeah, isn't that something? Yep. Let's see. Behind the heated rivalry jerseys are flying off the shelves. Oh, good. I'm glad. Sam Raimi has a new movie. I'm excited to see it. It's got my future husband, Dylan, in it. Yeah, I'm excited to see that. What is it called again? I forget. Is it called Send Help? Yeah, Send Help. It's got a huge score on the tomato meter. It's called Send Help, 94%. And Sam Raimi, as you know, is one of the masters of horror. So I can't wait to see what he does in this movie. Dylan O'Brien's in it, and I just love Dylan O'Brien. I really do. Ever since Teen Wolf. He was my favorite. Although Tyler Posey now being tattooed and partially gay makes me happy. These billionaires are speaking out against ICE. Who the fuck cares? I'm so sick of it doesn't count until a billionaire says it. Thomas Friedman says America's at a boiling point. You think? You think? Is this news to these people? Then there are all these headlines. Can you have guns at a protest? Yes. It's funny that when liberals arm themselves, MAGA, Trump, Kristi Noem goes crazy and says, oh no, you can't arm yourselves. So when liberals arm themselves, suddenly the Second Amendment goes out the window. Only assholes like Kyle Rittenhouse and all of those can arm themselves. But when liberals start arming themselves, maybe the way we get gun control and the Second Amendment is repealed is for all liberals to start carrying guns. Scare the fuck out of MAGA and the conservatives. I carry one. Maybe we all should. Maybe that will finally get them banned. Because they're afraid of liberals with guns, obviously. I mean, I'm not afraid of anybody with a gun, but unless they're pointing it at me. Let's see. When a doctor in Congress calls out the healthcare giants, it's time to listen, you think? But we won't. Everyone's condemning RFK Jr.'s food pyramid, that it's, that it's not accurate. From the Bay Area Reporter, LGBTQ issues not discussed at California Governor Forum. Yep. Agenda, spending bill before the U.S. Senate will cut domestic HIV funding. Great. Wonderful. Isn't that great? And in the ickiest story of the day, a man has died by being impaled on the 10 freeway guardrail in West Covina. Ew. Ew. Impaled on a guardrail. Ooh. I mean, there's no great way to die, but that's in West Covina. Not in Beverly Hills. Not on some dangerous mountain pass. but on the 10 freeway in West Covina, impaled on a guardrail. Lord. Oh, Lord. All right. Well, we are almost out of here. I'm tired of being angry. I'm so mad at the Democrats. You know, I really am. I'm so mad at them. And not just for now, but for my whole life. They have never fulfilled their promises or the promise of America. And if it's not them, then who's going to do it? You know, it's sad. They didn't care about ICE until, you know, someone got shot. A white person. So I am Karel. You're going to be who you want to be, so I'm not anybody, right? I think we have one more segment after this, because I started a little late. I know. I get here late sometimes. I'm sorry.
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
Oh, Rachel, so The Pit is back on HBO Max. It is the best show on television. It was the best show on television last year for season 1, and it continues to be the best show on television for season 2. I am not watching it yet because when I watch The Pit, I want them all available because I'll watch it in a matter of 2 or... The show is shot linear. So hour 1, hour 2, hour 3, and it's all just one shift, which is fabulous. So when I watch it, I don't want to be, you know, I want to watch half the shift on one day over a weekend. I don't, yes, I know that's going to be like a 13-hour movie. I don't care. I want to, because it's filmed linear and it's filmed 1 hour after the next, that's how I want to watch it. It is a brilliant show and a huge indictment of our healthcare system with lots of social issues like measles vaccines. And, you know, them saying, of course you should get your children vaccinated for measles. I mean, look how we're going backwards in so many ways. Measles had been eradicated. Gone. And then a Republican takes over. And these MAGA anti-vaxxers get a voice. And now in every state, there's measles. Measles are no fun. They can kill. And they're totally preventable. We're going backwards medically. We're going backwards socially. We're going backwards politically. We're going backwards financially. We are now in $30 trillion of debt. Our national debt is so huge that it could just never be paid off. The notion that we could pay off $30 trillion with a T? I believe that's the national debt right now. I can check. It might have gone up. Trump is spending like a drunken sailor. But I think it's 30 trillion. How much is our national debt? $38.5 trillion. We could never pay it off. Ever. And the interest is all that we pay. We have to service that loan. Imagine you have a credit card and it's got $38.5 trillion charged up on it. I panic if mine are over $1,000. We have a $38 trillion credit card debt, which we pay interest on. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? You know? Oh, you people saying you can't watch The Pit because you get grossed out. Spare me. I live for autopsy shows. I have watched a real autopsy in real life. I don't get grossed out. The human body doesn't gross me out. Medical procedures. Now, I don't want to watch a medical procedure on myself. I would never do that. But I've watched open heart surgery be performed because I might need it one day and I wanted to see what they do, and it's horrible. Oh, it's horrible. I know it's life-saving, but it's horrible. When they break open your sternum and crack open your ribs and you hear them break, it's like, oh, God. but it has to be done. It's not that I don't win sometimes, but I've watched brain surgeries, tumor removals. Oh, yeah. I've watched all kinds of medical procedures. Real ones, like not fake ones, real ones. You can watch them online on YouTube. They have brain surgeries, heart surgeries, kidney transplants. I've watched real kidney transplants be done. They do it laparoscopically now. They do. They take out the kidney laparoscopically now. That's something. So, yeah, I don't get grossed out by that. I get more grossed out by, what do I get grossed out by? What grosses you all out? What makes me wince? I can't watch cruelty to animals. I can't. I can't watch anything in which an animal gets hurt. I cannot. I can watch humans get shot. I can watch humans fall off cliffs. I can watch all of that. But I cannot watch an animal get hurt. I can't. I have to. I cannot. I have to look away. So yeah, I can't watch that. And what else? What else grosses me out? Nothing. Really. I don't gross out easily. Body fluids don't gross me out. Vomit, that sort of stuff, I don't care. Poop, pee, I don't care. I've had to change diapers, and I've had to, for adults, like, you can't get grossed out if you've got an older person you take care of, because you've literally had to, deal with human feces and all of that. So that doesn't gross me out. It's not pleasant, but doesn't gross me out. What grosses me out? Animals being harmed. Stupidity. I can't watch humans being stupid. There's a lot of shows where it's like people having boat accidents or there's these shows where they show all these things that have gone wrong and the people end up getting hurt. I can't watch that. I can't watch humans get hurt either. There's a show, I watch a show called It's Florida Man on HBO Max. And after it plays the new episode, it goes to this other show. And this other show is all these mishaps, video, like America's Funniest Video, but where people actually get hurt. And I find that show hard to watch. Watching someone fly out of a vehicle and smash into the pavement that grosses me out. Animals and children, yes, exactly. If they're getting hurt, I can't watch. I can't watch. I can watch surgeries and medical procedures, but not on children. I can't, because it just breaks my heart. It's like Stephen Fry once said, there can't be a God, because if there is a God, explain bone cancer in children. You know what I mean? So many horrible maladies befall children, and it just breaks my heart. I can't. They're kids. They're just starting out. And, they've got these horrible diseases. That I can't, ugh. Yeah. And the commercial with, what's Sarah McLachlan? In the arms of an angel. And they show all these abused animals. I cannot watch it. Animal abuse, I can't watch. I can't, even if they're being rescued, I can't watch. I can't. I'm like, oh no, I can't. War. Yeah, that's true too. I can't watch war. I don't, because I think war is stupid, much like Boy George. War is stupid. War is dumb to me. All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, Jane Velez Mitchell will be here from Unchained TV to talk about how not to die. I am Karel. Be who you want to be. Someone doesn't hurt you, buddy. So yes, we'll have Jane Velez Mitchell here tomorrow. Having a lovely chat with her. Stay safe, be well.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Karel Cast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Karel Cast on your favorite streaming service.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Karel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show. Let's